Nelson Mandela was for everybody, irrespective of country, ethnicity, whether you're white, black, indifferent, young, old. He wanted everybody to come together. And that is what we're trying to do, especially in Portsmouth, where there are so many ethnic minorities in the city, and we all tend to live in silos. So we want to bring everybody together and celebrate his life and what is left us, and learn by what is left us, how to live together in peace.
Well, today is all about Nelson Mandela. So we're teaching a dance called Gumboot, and the reason why we chose Gumboot is because Gumboot is so important in South Africa, because it's kind of a warrior-ish dance, and it's releasing frustrations, and because there was a lot of Nelson Mandela, we all know that he fought for the independence. So in little cultures we have different dances, but Gumboot is done throughout South Africa. So that's why we thought, let's do something that is done with all South Africans rather than just a little culture.
Let's join. 1 and 2, 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 and that's good. Okay. So guys, that is what we're going to do. 1 and 2. Okay, stop guys, stop. Look. Okay. Waza! Waza! Eye contact and don't smile, because this is war. You're talking. When you finish, you do it again. It's not just once. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, and then. Okay, miss, what next? No, I need to hear that. 5, 6, 7, let's go.
Now in schools, they're trying to learn other people's cultures. So today is South Africa, tomorrow is Kenya, wherever, the next day is a different country. And I think it's important for schools to learn other people's cultures, because we are mixing up. And if you mix up with someone and you don't know their culture, because of assumption, that's where we have so many things going wrong, because we just assume that, oh, these people are like this, these people are like this. But if you learn their culture, then you know they're not like what you think they are or what you've been told that they are. So it's important for us to teach these things in schools.
Yeah, man, it's very important. People need to know that, you know what I mean? There are different people all part of the world, you know, whatever your beliefs are, whatever. And for me, I'm very happy, you know, for them having me here in the school to share my culture, you know, with them, you know.
So my name is Seneke. Can you all say hi, Seneke?
Hi, Seneke!
I come from the country called the Gambia, West Africa. Gambia. Basically, what's going to happen? We start with the song by playing the bass. Look, watch. As soon as you know how to hit the drum to get the sound, you'll be able to play the drum. Because every instrument's got a note, even the keyboard, innit? You need to play the right keys, innit? And the animal skin, because in Africa when we kill the animal, we don't throw the skin away, it's useful. Some of the people use it for mud to pray. Yeah?
You know, they're the next generation anyway, you know, who knows? You know, someone else could just go and spread the message from somewhere else to us. Well, we work together as a community, you know what I mean? And the drum is all about that, you know, bringing people together. You know, we learn from each other, and which is a pleasure, you know. Really, and they enjoy themselves a lot, you know.
Once. One more time. 1, 2, 3.
Songs, music are really a way that people have always told their stories. So for a long time, that's how people have communicated stories, stories about their own lives and how they share things, and then how they share things in their communities. So singing is really good because people use it to celebrate, and they also use it to bring communities together. So there's a big connection between South African songs and the song culture that we have in the UK. Wrote anything down? We had books or anything like that? our ancestors would have just sung, and that's what a folk song is. I teach folk songs from all over the world. And so once we start doing the song, then you can rest the arms, go through it a few times, and then we do the. Let's sing it all together. Are you ready? There's your first note. Just go la 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 la. La 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 la. No ya. Because it's about taking a song on board and then it has a meaning, so you understand about its original meaning, but also it has a meaning for the group, the people who are sharing that song, and then the life of the song carries on because you're sharing it and you're singing it as well. So yeah, it's good. That's how we find that we have more in common than perhaps the things that make us different.
Oh, fantastic. We're so privileged. Firstly, to have the celebration of the anniversary of Nelson Mandela's birth, and secondly, to have such a wonderful, glorious, sunny day, because we've had the most awful spring. It has rained all the time, and this is wonderful. So we've got all these kids out here today just running around and having fun.
That's the most important thing. You stop doing that, guess what? You start playing for each other. You start playing for each other, guess what? You start winning. You start winning, guess what? You feel better. Ready, go!
1, 2, 3, squeeze! 1, 2, 3, squeeze! 1, 2, 3, squeeze!
Thank you, boys. Well done. Good work, good work.
Thank you. Is it LL or is it a U? Or maybe you. For your birthday.
Nelson Mandela was an icon, and I think a lot of people looked up to him, especially in my era. I was always brought up with what happened in his past and everything else, and what he did for South Africa as president and thereafter when he retired. It was a shock when he did pass away, but it's nice to introduce it to the children. And obviously his legacy then goes on, and they understand what he actually stood for.
Oh my goodness me, yes, that's what Nelson Mandela was all about. I mean, what a wonderful man. I mean, we are privileged to have our name associated with him in any form, shape or size. I mean, after such, 25 years on Robben Island, wasn't it? And then to come out and try and be inclusive and bring everybody together. That iconic picture of him in the number 6 South African shirt is just, it goes down in history, doesn't it? And for us at Portsmouth Rugby Club to be associated with that spirit is absolutely brilliant. So the more inclusive we can be it boys, girls, race, sex, who cares? We want them all out here having fun.
I'm Colin Chambers. I was born in England, grew up in South Africa. I was, as I mentioned in the talk earlier, a military naval officer. I wanted to be a chaplain in the South African Navy. There wasn't a vacancy, so they asked me to be prison chaplain. So that's how I met Mandela, and he received me when I came. He said, "The name's Mandela, you're very welcome. How's the sea? How's your father?" And I was welcomed to the island.
I try that. Obo sumi sana na obo.
because he was forgiving and magnanimous and reconciliatory, he was never a pushover. He stood up against the prison authorities. He was the kind of leader on the prison, and and during the negotiations, he was a pretty tough negotiator, getting what he wanted. So, but his main drive was to dismantle apartheid. As his expression, it always seems impossible till it's done, and and the tool he used was forgiveness and reconciliation, not revenge, which is a fantastic, and the history of the world is blood-soaked with people taking over from a previous autocratic group, and they've used revenge and assassin and hangings, death penalties. But Mandela did it through forgiveness. And Mandela also realized that hatred was the worst basis for politics. So my closing word be, look at the example of Nelson Mandela: forgiveness, reconciliation, working together, because hatred is the worst basis of politics.
We're just celebrating what he left for us, the world. Peace, living together, doing things together, allowing each other to grow, and celebrating differences like you've enjoyed here today. That's what we're here today, and we hope that these children and all the children in this school and all around the world will grow up to live together and work together to be citizens of the world. And I'd like to say thank you for coming today, all the parents who've come here to support the children, and thank you. Thank you.
Let it out. Does it need to let out some laughter? Laughter is good.
Well, I just wanted to ask like 1,000 questions. What is Mandela actually?
Yeah, he was the first black president of South Africa, and this year, the only reason why we're doing this is because this year is his 100th birthday.
I think he done the right thing, trying to stop people being racist about like different coloured people.
Plus, it's very, very sad.
I'm really glad I'm living in this time now, because if I was like during the time of Nelson Mandela, well, not really.
It would be like people.
Yeah.
And I can't believe George, Millie, and Terry would have been fine. You two wouldn't.
You two would get made fun of probably
You two
by
wouldn't even
us.
be in the school.
I think he was trying to stop races, but then they didn't like it, so we got in prison for 27 years.
Well, he should fight the races with an army.
He did. Not with an army, with words.
Words
is your army.
But if he said it with an army, he would probably win in every
Did you like the music in that today? Our question.
Yeah. Well, because if he had an army and he defeated anyone, everyone will go like, yes, we have stopped this racism.
Yeah, it's quite a fascinating thing to learn about. So he done a good, important thing.
Yeah. If you think about it, it's like learning a whole new culture and learning about how other people live, because we all live our separate ways, and when you actually dive into it and look, everyone lives really differently in different countries.
But if I was Mandela, I'll say that, and I was the gentleman, I'll say, stop this racism. I hate it. Live happily.
We understand it. Still, that there is no easy road to freedom. We know it well that none of us acting alone can achieve success. We must therefore act together as a united people for national reconciliation, for nation building, for the birth of a new world.
Nelson Mandela said, "What matters in life is not just the lives that we live, but it's the difference we make in the lives of others." So out of the ashes of that inhumane system called apartheid rose the Rainbow Nation.
It pays off to fight for something that you believe in if that thing is connected to truth, you know. And the fact that we are performing here means that what was fought for here many years ago, it's still kind of like paying off, because we are kind of contributing to the community in a way. We are working with young people here. What Marie Costa from the African Women's Forum has done is bring everybody together. So I guess it's just kind of like it's inspiration to just to continue with what it is that you believe in.
Regardless of what is going on in your life and your situation, to never give up, because after 27 years of prison, being sentenced to 27 years, spending most of his life in prison, Nelson Mandela never gave up hope of seeing a free and democratic South Africa, and he clung to that hope. And so that's the one thing that I'd like people to take away.
The solo is about being birthed into the world and then going through life, facing adversity and then overcoming that. And in Mandela's story, you can see it's an interesting kind of overcoming of an obstacle. So that's, but the solo now, I decided to just call it Of Dust and Air. It's just kind of like, it's inspiration to just to continue with what it is that you believe in, and to just go for it and never give up hope, because sometimes it look like things are not going to go your way. And imagine, like, if you're in prison for 27 years, you can give up hope, or you can stop. Or here, like, if you lose your job, or you break up with your partner, or you find yourself burnt out or depressed or something, it's important to know that even the smallest flame of hope can carry you forward.
If they only take away one thing, which is what I say at the end of my narration, is, and Nelson Mandela said, that we should never give up. Nelson Mandela said, a winner is a dreamer who never gives up. So maybe, just maybe, you're in a position where you are in an impossible position where you want to give up. There seems no hope around you. There seems no way out. Please, 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 never give up. Never give up.
Let there be justice for all. Let there be peace for all. Let there be work, bread, water, and salt for all. Let each know that for each, the body, the mind, and the soul have been freed to fulfill themselves. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another.